going on, everybody? So back again, and I wanted to talk a little bit about card grading. And this is a topic I go over quite a bit, and I will continue to go over quite a bit because it has become an important part of the hobby for all of us collectors. Now, a lot of people think that I'm all about PSA, and other people complain that they think I'm all about SGC. I will continue to say over and over and over that I want multiple good options because that is going to force the other companies to continue to improve. So no, I'm not for one company. I'm for 5 or 6 good options. And one of the reasons we need competition is because it's going to help with customer satisfaction. It's going to help with making sure we have a good experience with the grading companies. So yeah, there are a lot of options, and we all have opinions about the different options. And one of the biggest things that people have complaints about with some of the companies is customer service. And I wanted to share, without a doubt, the best customer service situation experience that I have ever had with a card grading company. And the company that I had the experience with might surprise you. So I'm going to take you through the whole process of what happened with me recently with this company and how I got amazing customer service. Check this out.
All right, so we got PSA, who's the big dog. We know that they are grading about 10 times as much as the next biggest company, which is SGC. And we focus on those, but we have to remember there are a lot of options, which is great for us. You've got CSG, and some of these companies are combining and changing names, and it's hard to keep up with it all. You've got Beckett, who's used a few different names, depending on if it's vintage cards or modern. You've got Tag that's come into the picture. You've got GMA, who's been around for a few years. You've got HGA. There are a lot of grading companies, and these are just a few. And quite frankly, I want a lot of them to continue to thrive.
So one of the keys, in my opinion, when there's a specific card that you're targeting is be patient. If you're not patient, you're probably going to spend too much or buy a card that you don't really like. And so one of the things that I really focus on, like a lot of people have said to me, because I've mentioned many times, my Grail baseball card is a 1954 Ernie Banks, and they say, how do you not have that card? Just go buy the card. And it's not about spending the money or buying the card. It's about finding the right one. So I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to continue to be patient to find the one that is right for me. So I decided a while ago, a couple of years ago, that I wanted a Whitey Ford 1951 Bowman rookie card. And so I've been just kind of monitoring the prices for a while. I've been doing that with a handful of cards. Another card I've been monitoring for a long time is the 1948 Bowman Yogi Berra rookie card. I've been watching auctions on that for literally years. Well, as I was watching, and as the prices were changing, and as there were lots of auctions that came through, I finally found a Whitey Ford that really fit my eye. It was what I was looking for. I wanted something without any crazy deep creases. I wanted something, it was okay if it had rounded corners. That was not a problem for me. It was okay if it even had a little bit of surface scuffing. But I just wanted a really clear card with good centering that didn't have anything on the card that was distracting. And finally, I found one. But it was a company that I had never bought one of their cards. It was a holder of GMA. And now I've heard of GMA. I've seen cards for sale for GMA, but I've never owned a GMA card. So check out this card.
So again, it's in a GMA holder. It got a 2, and it's clearly got rounded corners, and it's not crystal clear, but the centering is awesome, and there aren't any creases or anything really distracting on the card. And again, I don't know a lot about GMA, but they've been around a while. They seem cool, so what the heck?
So the card came, and I really liked the look of it. Again, it had rounded corners, that's fine. But the centering was great. There were no creases in the card. And it looked pretty good. So I decided, I don't mind it being in a GMA holder per se. I'd prefer that it be in a company that I'm more familiar with, even though this is not a card I'm planning to sell. So I was like, do I leave it raw? Or do I send it into PSA or SGC or back into GMA to get it reholdered in a newer GMA slab? Because this was an old GMA slab that the card was in. So I tried to look the card over really good before I broke it out because I wanted to make sure that the card was as nice as I thought that it was. So I got my loop on it and I really was looking over the card, but it was such an old slab that had clearly never been protected. And so it was very scuffed up. So I didn't see any creases. I didn't see any big problems. So I just decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to crack it out. So that's what I did. And I said, let's record this. Let's record me cracking it out. Because if I do something dumb and I end up damaging the card or something, at least I can share this with everybody. So here I am cracking the card out of an older generation GMA holder. Check this out.
So here I am. I'm out in the garage. And if you've never cracked a slab before, the best way to do it is you just kind of crack the corner. And you got to be super careful. I've got this in fast forward, so it's moving a little bit quickly, just so it's not too boring for you. But you want to cut the corner and then just kind of get a flathead screwdriver in there and get it between the two sections. Get it in there and kind of twist it a little bit. And it'll start to release the card a little bit. And again, there it goes. It's starting to open up. Now, I haven't done this too many times, so I'm certainly not an expert, but so I'm going through and I'm finally getting close. I got a section of that plastic off and I'm like, I don't know, this seems a little sketch still, so I just keep cracking another corner. Again, the key here is I'm trying really hard to be patient, and this is a card I've wanted a long time, so I don't want to mess it up. And so finally I got it out.
So now I've got the card out. I didn't damage it, thankfully. And I decided, okay, let's really get another good look at it. Let's put it under my loop. Let's see how nice this card really is before I decide, do I want to leave it raw? Do I want to send it to SGC or PSA? And I was open to sending it back in to the company of the holder it was actually in. But now let's actually take a good look at it. And that's when I realized I had a problem. That's when I realized it looked to me like the card may have been altered. Check it out.
So if you look in the bill of the cap and you look at the left-hand portion of the cap, to me it looks like there's a couple of blue marks where there was some scuffing, like color added. So I go to the website and I'm looking, what are their guarantees? What kind, do they stand by their old grades? But then I'm like, but I'm the one that cracked it out of the slab. And when I did that, I'm sure that negated any sort of warranty. And I looked at the website and it clearly says an authentic card is one that has any sort of color added or pen marks.
So now I'm thinking I blew it. As soon as I took the card out of the holder, at that point, it pretty much voids any sort of guarantee, any sort of, promise that they're going to stand by their grades. But in my defense, I didn't realize, I couldn't tell that the card looked altered until I got it out of the case, because it was a much older case and it was scuffed, it wasn't clear, it had scratches on it, and you just couldn't really see the card very well. So here I am now, I have a card that I think may have been altered, and it's not in a case. I can't get it reholdered. If I send it into any grading company, I think it's going to come back as altered. And they're pretty darn clear in their, evaluation, in their grading standards, that if it looks like it has any sort of color added, it's not going to be graded. It's going to be listed as altered. And so I've really kind of put myself in a bad situation. So I thought about it for a while, about a month. I just kind of sat on it, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just leave it raw. But it just kind of kept bugging me that I wanted this Whitey Ford card, and I've got one that I think somebody messed with. Again, I don't know for sure, but it looks like somebody messed with it, and it just was bugging me. So finally, after about a month of having the card out of the case, I contacted GMA. I emailed their contact, and I said, here's the situation. Here's a picture of the card. And I sent them a picture of the card in the GMA holder. And I said, is there anything you can do for me? And within about an hour, I got an email back from the owner of the company. And the owner of the company said, give me a call, let's talk. So I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm just assuming, some of my experiences with other grading companies have been kind of like not great customer service. So how's this going to go? I have no idea. So what I decided is, all right, let's call him and see what he has to say. So he said, first off, the holder that your card was in before you took it out is a old GMA holder. He goes, probably like 8 or 10 years old was his estimate. He said, I bought the company about 2 years ago. So my team did not grade that card. So I'm thinking, oh, here we go. He's going to tell me, well, because it was this other group before he bought it under the same name, he can't help me. And he says, but anything that has a GMA label, I will continue to stand behind. But you took it out of the case. So you took it out of the case, and for all I know, you're the one that did something to alter it. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. As soon as I took it out of the case, I understand that I totally voided any warranty or any sort of guarantee. And he said, but I believe you. I don't think that you're doing this to try to pull one over on me. So send me the card and let me take a look at the card. He goes, I will look at it personally with some of my top graders. We will look at the card and determine if there is color added or not. And based on that, we'll figure something out. So I said, okay. So I sent him the card, and about 4 days later, he calls me back. And he says, here's the deal. It's not marker on the card. And again, it's up in the hat in the blue area. And he says, it's not marker. I know that for sure. We looked at heavy magnification. We used different lights on it. There's definitely not marker on there. He goes, there might be color added. I can't tell for sure. But in my opinion, it looks like there's something that added color. So I want to help you out. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just like, thank you so much. And I go, well, what does that mean? What do you mean you want to help me out? And he says, what I'm going to do is I am going to, if you can prove to me what you paid for it, I will reimburse you for the card. I will pay you what you paid for the card. And I'm like, even though it's not in the case, even though I sent it to you ungraded, even though, and he goes, yes. He goes, I believe that it was in our holder. I think it might be altered to the point where I wouldn't be comfortable putting it in one of my holders without an altered tag at this point. So because of that, send me proof of what you paid and I'll immediately PayPal you that amount of money. And I'm like, companies don't do this anymore. Customer service nowadays is awful. And this guy is doing the absolute right thing. And not only is he doing the right thing, but he's doing it after I broke the card out of the case. So I went to my eBay account where I bought the card. I forwarded him the invoice. And within a very short amount of time, he PayPal'd me the money. He PayPal'd me the money for the price of the card, plus the tax, plus the shipping. So what does this tell me? It tells me a lot. Number one, customer service does still exist. Number two, my comfort of buying a card in a GMA label now just went through the roof, because I know they stand by their product, their grades. Now, does that mean I'm going to go look for a bunch of GMA cards? No. I'm still going to always kind of lean toward SGC and PSA. But the main reason I'm putting this out there is to share with everybody and let everybody know that some grading companies are doing the right thing. And if they're going to do the right thing, I hope that that's going to pressure the other companies to do the same thing, which is the right thing, which is stand by your grades. And if something is messed up, fix it, and fix it in full. So to all the other companies out there, and to all of us collectors, this is why we need competition. This is why we need multiple companies to be successful and viable in the market. Because if one company is truly standing by their grades and the others aren't, we're going to gravitate that way. We want a lot of good grading companies. And I can tell you right now, my experience with GMA could not have been any better than it was. And to anybody out there thinking, this guy's getting paid from GMA, this is a commercial, let me assure you that is not the case. I simply wanted to share with you, to put it out there so that people know that at least some of the companies are doing the right thing.